구원해준 나의 천사 나의 세상 난 이상 새 고향이 널 만나러
Wayan plays. Jimin talks on the phone. Wayan shuts her eyes before speaking. The world narrowing to the small bright screen and sound of his voice. I have lost my everything because of you. Her lips tremble as she speaks to him. The words come out thin, a paper boat on a rough sea. She had been so happy to be pregnant. She had been happy to be a mother. There was a time she pictured tiny fingers curled around hers, a nursery painted in soft light. But because of his enemy, she had to go through miscarriage. All because of him. Yes, she could blame only him for everything that happened. He failed to protect her. He failed to protect their baby, and that failure sits in her like a stone. And now she filed a divorce, and the paper is in Jimin's hand. She had already signed it, and the ink felt like permission to close a door. Now Jimin is begging her to give him a chance, that he will make everything right. But no, Wayan will not. She has had enough already. She had been hollowed by pain, by stitches of memory and ache. All she asked for was for him to take care of the unborn child. And he failed that too. That request was simple, small, everything. So she wants the separation. Please come to me. I don't want this divorce. I want us, Jimin says, voice breaking, bleeding through the light. Waya shuts her mouth and murmurs into her pillow. The sob locked between teeth. She cannot show him that she is crying too. Sign it, or you will see me dead, she says before declining the call. The words hang in the quiet like a jagged thing. Jimin freezes at them. The life he had imagined collapsing inward. This is all he has ended up with. He hates it. He hates everything that happened. He lowers his head and stares at the paper, the thread repeating in his mind. Sign it or you'll see me dead. Her words echo, a loop that will not stop. He sits down on a chair and signs the paper right away. No, he cannot hurt her again. He cannot watch her break any further. He gives the paper to his secretary. Send it to my wife, he says, before leaving the room. The weight in his chest, heavy and mute, not able to bear anything. Wayan sits by the sill of the window in her room. The night was heavy, the silence pressing down on her chest. She had been crying all day and all night, and her body felt weak from the endless sobs. Her face was swollen, her lips dry. She lost her child. She lost all the dreams she had carried so close. Everything she once imagined, every beautiful picture of her future, it had slipped away. Just one night took everything from her. Her parents told her to give him a chance, told her that maybe time would fix things. But no, she'll not listen. She cannot listen. She is stubborn and she'll show her stubbornness. But her agony, the pain that dug inside her chest, spoke a different story. It whispered of heartbreak, of a loneliness she could not hide from. How she had imagined her life, how she had believed in him, how she thought she would hold their children in her arms, and how cruel it had turned out to be. The moon spilled across her floor, and it mocked her. Once, the moon was the reason she had seen Jimin. Once, it was the reason she fell in love with him. Now it just stared at her, cold and merciless, like a witness to her breaking. Her blurry eyes widened when she saw shadows moving beyond her window. She leaned closer, trying to make sense of it through the glass. And then she froze. People, not just strangers, but the kind she feared, the kind she knew. The goons of Jimin's enemy. They had weapons glinting in the dark. They moved quickly, their steps calculated, sliding into the house like ghosts. Dad, her voice broke as she called out, rushing out of her room. Her feet stumbled against the floor, heart racing, but they were already faster, too fast. By the time she stepped into the hallway, they had already entered her parents' room. She barely had time to realize what was happening before they surrounded her, shadows closing in like a cage. Leave her. She had her parents shouting, their voices cracked with fear. She turned, panic racing in her chest, but before she could scream, a hand clamped tightly over her mouth. The pressure was sharp, suffocating, and her muffled cries faded against their grip. The room spun. The sound of her own heartbeat thundered louder and louder in her ears. And then, within seconds, she couldn't breathe. Her body gave in, collapsing into the blackness. She slipped into the unconsciousness again. Ian was tied to a chair, still unconscious, but she could feel it, the cold under her, the weight of the room, her dry tears on her cheeks, her chapped lips, every sensation screaming at her. She was trapped yet alive, every nerve alive to feel and pain. Jimin, she whispered, almost inaudible, her throat raw. She could only think of him now, and she hated it. She hated that her mind remembered only him, even now in this dark, troubled place. But she couldn't stop calling his name over and over. Her only escape, her only paradise. His arms had always been the safest, the place where the world made sense. And now, when she thought he couldn't protect her anymore, when everything seemed lost, she clung to that fragile hope, letting it carry her through the suffocating darkness. Then he came, Jimin. His presence slammed into the room like a storm. His rage was absolute, his eyes sharp, scanning everything. How dared they hurt her again? He swore under his breath, low and sharp. He would burn this building down tonight if he had to. And there she was, sitting there, tied to the chair, small, vulnerable. The sight hit him harder than any blow. Let her go. Jimmy's voice was slow, steady, dangerous, every word a threat, every pause a promise. Wayne wakes up looking at them now. The rival boss smirked from the corner, spinning a blade between his fingers. You came alone, brave or foolish. The first gun plunged. Jimmy's hand shot up, twisting the man's wrist until the weapon clattered to the floor. A sharp elbow to the stomach sent him sprawling. Another came from behind, but Jimmy ducked low, sweeping his leg out. The man crashed against steel barrels with a clank that rattled the room. Stay down, Jimmy growled, his sword dusted with grit, calm in the chaos, every move precise. 2 more men attacked together. Jimin blocked the first punch with his forearm, bone meeting bone. He struck back, fist to jaw, knee to ribs. The second rushed him the bite, but Jimin caught it mid-swing, wrenched it free, and tossed it aside. He drove his shoulder into the man's chest, sending him sprawling, gasping. Jimin swiftly untied the ropes of Ryan's wrist with his fingertips. She blinked at him, and she gently caressed her red, aching flesh. She felt a wave of relief, yet her chest tightened with anxiety. She was shaking uncontrollably. He moved in a measured, controlled manner, a deliberate kick to the knee and a swift punch to the man's side. The rival faltered, but Jimin persisted. Every action was premeditated, protective, and a quiet pledge that she wouldn't suffer any harm while he was there. Ryan stayed frozen. Her heart was pounding loud in her ears. She felt every motion, every shift of Jimmy's body, and it made her chest tighten with both fear and relief.